Hello, this is the RPG Crawler, and it is time once again for Indie Game Friday, where each week I take a look at a different independent computer role-playing game. And for the next few weeks I'll be covering some older games again, because going back through the years you can usually find some relatively hidden ones that are actually worth playing. This week I'm going to be covering Reverse Crawl, developed by Nerduke Productions and published by Digerati. It was published on Steam back in September of 2015. Reverse Crawl is largely a fantasy turn-based strategy game, but with character upgrade tracks that rely on experience and character development, giving it certain RPG elements. In terms of plot, you play the part of a king and his daughter. An evil queen has swept through the land and made short work of the king and his men. The king's daughter, a budding necromancer, raises her father back from the dead, and they promptly head out to seek to reclaim the kingdom. When you start a new game, you get a brief intro scene to explain the story and then are immediately dropped into the game. A standard series of tutorial encounters then proceed, allowing you to get an introduction to the mechanics overall, although as you proceed, there are new mechanics to be found occasionally throughout the game. Each scenario starts with a selection screen that shows the map of the region and the current level and XP progress, options to view the upgrade tree, the rewards tab, and the known champions. You may also get up to 3 scenario selections, basically offering you a choice between combats to go to next. Some offer the recruitment of different troop types, some merely advance the story, while others may grant additional abilities to existing troops. The upgrade tree offers a series of upgrade categories, each of which may be upgraded with skill points. Whenever you reach a new level, it offers a boost in stats to all your troops, as well as a skill point to spend. These skill points may be saved from level to level. Each level of a skill costs increasing numbers of skill points and may offer widely different effects, albeit within the same theme. This is not a linear progression, in other words. This does allow you to try to specialize in one particular troop type or tactic over time. Rewards, meanwhile, are earned after each chapter. Succeeding at a chapter offers a choice between up to 3 different rewards, which may take the form of general buffs, new spells, to improvements to particular troop types, including the granting of new troop abilities. For instance, you can teach Greybeard the Wizard, which is a type of troop type, new abilities sometimes, or the main princess character additional general use spells that can be used anywhere. The champions are simply a series of heroes that you've encountered during play, which are particularly buff heroes compared to the usual heroes, and you may encounter them again and again. The champions section lists what you've learned about them by beating them. Once you've selected a scenario, you are dropped into a combat screen. There may be a brief exchange of NPC dialogue back and forth depending on the chapter, but there are few choices to be made once you enter a scenario. Instead, you simply face waves of enemies based on what scenario it is. Each scenario displays how many waves of enemies you are to face, as well as what enemies you can expect to encounter. You also have a limited number of minion groups to summon. At the start of each scenario, you may select a minion group to deploy. These are chosen randomly from the minions that you have unlocked through quests or story points. Each minion group also consists of the same arrangement of troop types, modified by traits you may have unlocked during play. For instance, the Wraiths group consists of 2 Wraith units, the Ice Elemental just has a single Ice Elemental, and so on and so forth. You may only summon one group at a time, and you keep fighting through waves until that group is eliminated, after which you may summon another group, up to the limit that the scenario sets. Each time you are presented with a choice to summon a minion group, you are also assigned a random trait to each group among those that you've unlocked. Red traits are just penalties to that group's abilities, while white traits are positive. These traits sit on top of whatever base traits the group already has natively. You may re-roll the groups presented if you don't like your options, although you can only do this a limited number of times. Once you've selected a group, each unit is placed on a hex map and goes in terms of initiative, which itself is based on that unit's type. Each unit also has hit points, speed or how many hexes they may move, damage, and crit chance. They may also have an evade chance and armor, and most units have a type. There's a few overall types, such as animal, undead, and so on, which may affect how that unit interacts with other units' abilities and powers. During a unit's turn, they may move up to the limit of their speed and attack. If they have abilities that can be used, they may also use as many of those abilities as are already, although a few, such as Guard, may end the unit's turn. Special abilities generally have a recharge time based on the number of turns and may not be used again until the recharge is finished. There are also spells listed along the bottom of the screen. During each turn, threat accrues, and when you've reached enough threat, you may cast a spell. This works similarly to unit special abilities in that they generally don't end the turn and you may use as many of them as you have the threat to cast. This can be very useful to drop in a few more minions onto the battlefield, heal all your minions, and so forth as you gain new spells. During a fight, you may also uncover treasure chests and other interactable items which may be opened for items and healing. These items are usually just temporary buffs to one stat or another though for that unit, so they're pretty much only good for that chapter or until that unit dies. And so play proceeds. You just throw waves of your own minions at the enemy minions until you come out on top. It's really simple, although the variety of different troop types and the interaction of different abilities can make for a surprisingly interesting gameplay loop. In terms of graphics and sound, the game uses a hand-drawn art style that is fairly common among certain mobile games, if a little bit more amateurish than usual. Still, it does have its charm all its own. Likewise, the UI is very reminiscent of a mobile game. The music and sound effects are nice and didn't wear out their welcome, although I didn't really see any stand out. That's more than I can say for a lot of games in this genre. I will say that after playing the game for a bit, I can't imagine that the main campaign is very long. There is some replay value in that different missions can be selected and you can try different builds, however. Fortunately, the price, even if you don't catch it on sale, is not all that high, and if you can catch it on sale, then it makes it a little bit worthwhile. All in all, this is not a game for deep and engaging storylines, although the story is there and it is somewhat humorous, but it is a nice one for those who simply like tactical combat. I am somewhat disappointed that the game isn't actually a reverse dungeon crawl, but playing as a mix of villainous and non-villainous characters and unit types is a nice change of pace, and at that, I think I'll leave it off here. As always, I'll put a link to where you can pick it up in the description below, although I'm given to understand that this should be available in the Nintendo Switch eShop as well. I'll have to check that out. Anyway, this has been the RPG Crawler with Indie Game Friday Reverse Crawl. If you like what you've seen, remember to leave a like, comment if you got any feedback, and subscribe for more RPG content, both tabletop and computer. Until next time, take care and goodbye. And if you're still watching this far, I'd like to take a moment to thank those who have supported this channel via Patreon or direct donations throughout the years, without which this channel could not have lasted as long as it has. For those who are feeling particularly generous, you can still support my work through Patreon and now through Subscribestar as well, through the links in the description below.